Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, your host, and I have a really unique guest today. His name is Dave Roberts, and Dave came into the vacation rental industry about 7 years ago. The last 4.5, he's worked with Tim Cafferty at Outer Banks Blue, and he's on the VRMA board. He presents at most of the VRMA internationals. He is an operations guru. And let me tell you, for those outside of the industry, he has a Six Sigma black belt for people who've come from the manufacturing area, which I did. I started my career at Corning Incorporated in manufacturing. And so I'm really impressed by that. I know how long it takes to get that. And I know the kinds of things you have to be able to do in order to work with that. And he focuses on customer needs. And he's like the guy that they used to hire to come in and turn around a company. So I'm really excited to talk to him about operations and helping operations for other companies. Dave, welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and look forward to the conversation.
So let's talk about our operations, since I know that is your forte. And actually, it's one of my favorite parts of the business is operations. Tell me, for smaller companies that ask for your help, especially like after you've spoken at VRMA, what kind of things are they asking about?
I think there's a lot of things, and really what it comes around to is how does this team work together? Whether it's housekeeping, maintenance, working together to solve problems, to make the guests happy, make the owner happy, make sure you have what you need, when you need it, in the right quantity. It's just really a million different ways you can go. That's what I love about this business. No two problems are exactly the same, but it usually requires collaboration and discussion and trying things and then trying something else and moving forward. And as I tell my team here, continuous improvement is a journey. You can't just snap your fingers. Okay, we're done. We're finished. It's always something. It's learning, applying. And like I said, it's about what's working well and let's do more of that. What's not working so well, let's do a lot less of that. And let's identify why it's not working well. And maybe we need to put some things in place, whether it's processes, procedures, trainings, and materials to be able to drive those improvements that, again, your guests and your owners will see.
So what's the number one problem you think we have in operations and property management?
Well, I think it's delivering consistency because you're dealing with people, especially when you have housekeepers who are seasonal or contract. You have some seasonal folks, is driving that consistency so that your guest has that expectation met time after time. You have to set it, you have to understand it, you have to communicate it, and then you have to follow up behind it because like any habit, it doesn't just happen overnight. It could take upwards of 30, 60, or 90 days. And in some cases, that's the entire season. So you have to be passionate about wanting to drive that.
What's one of the main changes that you've made to drive revenue through operations?
Our services, we look at them as a cost center. At the end of the day, it's a service. That's all we really have as vacation rental managers at the end of the day. So what we want to do is make sure we're understanding where we could be more efficient and effective, whether that's our inventory, partnering up with suppliers to get the best rates, best products at the right time, making sure you're staffed appropriately, not just number of people, number of field techs, given your number of properties, but also your schedule. During the summer, we swing shifts a little bit. So we'll have some teams start at 8 o'clock in the morning, go till 4. We'll have some teams start at 10 and go to 6. This way we're maximizing, especially those urgent situations that a guest or owner needs help on. We want to be able to send our team there and address it as soon as possible.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's a very good way to do that. I know that one of the specialties that you have are team dynamics. Talk to me about team dynamics and what are some things that people can do to help make sure that they've got the right people in the right spot and that people are getting along well together.
Well, let me touch on that second part first, because the first part is really a lot of HR work and making sure you're really not only focused on the skill set, but is the person a fit culturally? And that's hard to explain. Every company has a little different dynamic on how they do things. But for here at Blue, one of the things that I focused on when I first started was there was a lot of finger pointing going on. It's not housekeeping's fault, it's maintenance's fault. It's not maintenance's fault, it's rental's fault. So having my background in dealing with turnaround plants, one of them, I worked for a Swedish company, and they had this saying, and there's no way in heck I'm going to say this in Swedish, But basically, it's put the stinky fish on the table instead of kicking it underneath.
Mm.
And what that means is let's just understand what the problem is. Let's fix it together. Because at the end of the day, our guest or owner, it's not about Dave or Pete or Stan or Julie. It's about what is Blue doing to resolve my concern, issue, whatever may be going on. We've been throwing that out, and I love seeing the team use that. Let's put the stinky fish on the table, and everyone gets a chuckle because, I mean, that's what it's meant to be. At the end of the day, we're trying to get a job done or get an issue resolved. So when we first introduced that for about the first season and a half or two, we did what's called a Tell the Truth Tuesday. So we had a select group of frontline folks and managers, and we would go in a room. So for those that aren't aware, the Outer Banks is still during the summer, it's like a 7-day traditional rental market. There's some partials, but it's mostly Saturday, Sunday, whatever it may be. So we would get together Tuesday, some of the key managers and frontline employees, and we would say, okay, what did work? Because we always want to celebrate what did work, whether we had a really great piece of feedback or we had a problem and we worked through it together. So we want to make sure we get that positive vibe going. But then and this is my engineering background, okay, what didn't work? And it's not about Bobby or Jimmy or Stan or Julie, because I'm a big believer. People don't come to work to do a bad job. We've either failed them, whether training, expectation management, equipment, materials, processes, procedures. There's some systematic issue that caused the failure. And we would go through the big ones that we might have. We would list them out and we would say, okay, Dave's got this one, Julie's got that one, Sarah's got that one. And we would work through it, make sure it didn't happen the next weekend. And then from there, we started getting some momentum. And now, instead of people being hesitant to put out why something didn't work in their department, they're open because they're getting input and they're getting feedback from others that are saying, oh, wow, I never thought of it this way. Yeah, let me try that. So it's just been really powerful. And we've actually moved away from that now that we have such a good camaraderie and teamwork that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which again are our core kind of turnover days, we do a 5-minute stand up in the morning with those key folks. And, what VIPs do we have coming in? What issues did we do yesterday? What are we doing today? And it's just really cool for me to sit back and watch the team run. Like, it's not Dave that has to lead it. Someone steps up and runs it because they all know we're in it together. And it's a really powerful message I love seeing.
I've heard this same technique twice in the last couple of months with people who specialize in operations. And that meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, because I just want to throw it out there so people understand. That meeting that you had on Tuesdays or that 5-minute stand up, it's not about you holding people accountable. It's not about you finding out, telling people where the problems are. It's you as a manager listening and trying to make your team more successful. Is that correct?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, a manager is there to facilitate issues and help the team resolve them. You can't go to every stuck commode. You can't go to every dripping faucet. You can't go to every housekeeper when they're having a linen missing issue, or maybe it's stained and they need a replacement. But what you can do is give the team the tools to work through those problems, prioritize them, address them. And then if they need help, of course, we're always willing to jump in a car, but that really should be a last resort.
So it is springtime. Well, not quite, but almost springtime on the Outer Banks, and you're getting ready for a huge influx of people. What are you doing operationally right now to get ready for that? What are some tips and tricks that you can give to other people who may be in that same situation, who are dealing with operations?
Well, we have a couple different things that we do. One, we communicate very heavily with our owners. So we have a couple different options. We have what's called a property condition report, where we have a team will go in, an owner can request it, or if we've gotten a lot of feedback from guests that say, hey, this house needs a little bit of help, we'll do a property condition report. And it's about a 100-page document, takes a couple hours to put together. But then we'll share that with our owners and we'll work together on a plan. Okay, you need a contractor for that because that's beyond our scope, but we'll be happy to take care of this. We're going to do our deep clean here. We have a proprietary bedding program called Blue Standard Bedding, similar to triple sheeting in hotels, or I think we're the only company on the Outer Banks that's doing that. So, hey, instead of spending $1,000, just go with our program and we explain all the benefits. And then we'll also go into properties if the owner will let us. If it's blocked, we're not allowed in, but we have quite a few owners that we have a great relationship with. And they want our feedback because we're hearing from the guests. We're seeing the trends in the marketplace going to VRMA and talking to people from all over the country. And, oh, that hasn't really hit here, but that's something we should think about on the Outer Banks. And taking those pieces of feedback and implementing them and putting together the best program. We have a guest that comes in every year. He's always the first guest in this particular property. And he's been with us coming for like 10 years. And he always comes in. He's got a great attitude, but he calls himself the guinea pig because he knows that he's the first one in the house. And maybe there's some changes that we didn't know about, the owner made, or maybe there's some things not quite right. And our message, our team is working together. Like, I would love to have this guest, and not just this guest, but any first guest, never think that they're the guinea pig for all the other guests coming in. So we're working on that. It's a long list, but we'll get there.
I love the fact that you didn't say if we've had a bunch of guest complaints. You said if we've had a bunch of guest feedback. I love the way you put that, but we know exactly what you're saying.
Built by property managers for property managers, Streamline is a powerful software that gives managers enterprise-level capabilities to drive more revenue and improve operational efficiency. Migrating to Streamline allows property managers to gain functionality while reducing the need for multiple vendors, improving flow by logging into a single system and reducing redundant technology costs. With Streamline, property managers achieve revenue lifts by leveraging our fully fledged communication center, reservations quoting system, revenue management tools, homeowner acquisition CRM, and powerful direct OTA connections. Streamline also has industry-leading trust accounting and report capabilities to give you clarity in an overall company performance. Learn more about Streamline Vacation Rental Software at streamlinevrs.com.
If you could go back 7 years ago when you first started in this industry, what kinds of things would you do different in operations?
Having a background in turnaround and having a process and procedure in place, especially when it comes to production plants or product-based companies. I had a preconceived set of ideas and standards. And in fact, I remember I came in and one of my first direct reports, I was working in operations. I told her, it's just cleaning houses. How hard can it be? And besides the fact I got the death stare from her, I probably would have been better if I had spent like the first 2 or 3 months just out in the field, going to properties, actually seeing what's happening on those turnover days versus just, oh, well, here's your prescription. This is all you need to do. I've definitely adapted over time, and I'm definitely more passionate, especially about getting into properties when they first come to us and meeting with the owners, telling them, okay, yeah, our business development team has told you about all these great things. Let me tell you what really happens when you have 500 people come through your property in a 10-week span.
I love that. Yeah. I think that people do, especially homeowners, when they first start in vacation rentals, they do come in with preconceived notions themselves.
Absolutely. They're very successful, very busy people in most cases. And so, again, very similar to me coming into the industry, they come in with their preconceived notions. And we just have to work together through that. It's a continuing education with them. So it's not just, okay, you're onboarded and you're done. Have a nice day. We'll take care of it. It's regular feedback, communication. Okay, hey, this is working great. You added that hook for your hose. Wonderful. It has not been a trip hazard since from a safety standpoint. Or you got rid of all your little tchotchkes on the shelves, so they're not collecting 3 inches of dust anymore. Way to go. And I take that attitude, right? We're in this together. It's a partnership. And if you want a client-customer relationship, that's fine. But I prefer a partnership because we are in this together. We're only successful if they're successful.
I love those that have fear of the void and every single inch of their house is covered. I bought one of those vacation rental houses. And when I walked in, I mean, there's something everywhere. It's not just, it's literally, and they think because it's the same theme that it's okay. Let me just tell you, that's a hard thing to explain to an owner, that you have way too much an abundance of everything, Hawaiian, whether it's, or whatever that theme is.
Yeah. Sorry. You brought up a memory for me because one of the owners in our property had this really nice conch shell. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I know you didn't find that there. It was my wife and I, we went to Hawaii for our 20th anniversary, and we've had this for 10 years. I said, well, let me tell you what's going to happen if you leave it here. It's going to end up as a diving toy in your pool because our guests are very creative. And I said, so if it's that valuable for you, lock it up in your owner's closet. You're more than welcome to bring it out when it's off-season block. No one's coming in. But if you leave it out, it's going to end up not as it's intended.
That's a hard lesson for owners. And you have those owners who have a list, and their list is here's where everything needs to be on the shelf in the right way, turned on the left side, upside down. And when it's not, they get upset about that. What do you do about owners like that? How do you handle them?
So we have developed property standards. So that's one of the things we work with when we're working with a potential owner is we say, look, here's our standards. Here's what we do. Here's how we have it. We want every property to have those standards. And it's a common phrase in the industry, right? Standard property appearance. We're going to put our towels here. We're going to put the soap here. This is how we're going to put your towels, your cups and your plates and your thing. At the same point, understand guests will, especially when they're on vacation, they like to have their kids unload the dishwasher and they make it a game. Well, the 8-year-old kid is not going to be able to reach the very top shelf for your coffee cups. So I actually love labeling on the inside of the cabinets or the inside of the drawers, because when you see that, this goes back to my manufacturing days of laying out plants, they will naturally want to put it there. If you don't, then they're going to take their best guess, and their assumption is not, 90% of the time is the wrong one. So you'll end up with cutting tools in 8 different drawers. And then it just spirals from there because the next guest comes in and they're not there. Well, I guess this knife goes here and that knife goes there. So label it, absolutely, but understand that at the end of the day, we're dealing with hundreds of people coming through your property. So we'll do our best. The other thing, we offer a mid-season refresh. So it's not a deep clean, but we'll have a crew going to proper the entire day and really focus on the kitchen because it's so heavily used in a vacation rental. And we'll basically pull everything out and we'll put it back in. So we'll reorganize it for you. That's for a fee, but we'll do it one time a year in the July timeframe. And that's so your late July, August, and September guests have the same experience as your May, June, and early July ones get.
I love that idea. How much do you charge for that?
It's fee-based and it's a factor based off of their owner clean rate.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I understand that. So would you please tell me your favorite owner story or guest story?
Well, so we talked about kind of owners and especially being very successful and very busy people. So we had a new construction house and I had one owner come to us and like, I'm a real big believer in play and I love things. And I want to put a slide between the top level and middle level of my property indoors. So like they could just slide down it if they want to go from their kitchen to the living room.
Insurance?
So I had to explain to them that when people are on vacation, they tend to imbibe a little bit. And that's probably, for a liability standpoint, not the best move I would make.
Wow.
They understood once we explained it.
And how much they would charge him, their insurance company.
Yeah, absolutely.
My insurance company insists that we put up on bunk beds, rails. We have to have a railing for the bunk bed. And in my opinion, the railing on the bunk bed where the kid gets their neck stuck in between is one of my greatest fears. I grew up with bunk beds. And when they insisted on that, I actually had to custom make some railings so that wouldn't happen for the neck thing. But oh my gosh, a slide. Okay, so that I've never heard anything like that. That's a new one for me.
That's definitely something like I never imagined getting into this business. Some of the things I've seen. You mentioned guests. I've got to mention this one. We have pet-friendly properties. And for us, that means dogs. And it clearly states in our literature, dogs. You could have 1 or 2 dogs, depending on the size and the breed and all that. And so my tech was called to one of the properties one day, and that was a pet-friendly property. And yeah, there's a dog, and a cool, great owner had it locked up. He's going to replace a bulb on an exterior light, and he goes outside, and there's an 80-pound tortoise on the deck. I have a picture of it. He sent me a picture of it, and I'm like, and so he's like, there's a turtle on your deck. I'm like, oh no, that's Larry. He's our tortoise. Who brings an 80-pound tortoise to the beach?
Oh my goodness.
Every year there's a couple of those that it's just like, wow, I love this business, because I would never imagine that if I was still doing what I was doing a long time ago.
Well, based on where you are, my big concern would be, goodbye, Larry. I'm sorry. You're going to find friends there because that's a nesting area where you are.
He's on the deck and, it was it was July, so it was 95 and 85 at night. And he's like, okay.
Just can't even go there.
Not our pet policy, but I have no idea how to address that.
I don't even want to know if the pet came inside. I can't even fathom that.
They said they were leaving it on the deck, so I'm going to give them face value.
That's great. Tell me what's happening with VRMA. What can we expect from VRMA this year?
Well, I'm really excited. I joined the board. I was elected in October, so I appreciate everyone that voted for me. There's a lot of great new folks coming on, really want to have an impact. Jody Rafosco, as the chair, is taking the lead, and we're working really hard. In fact, we're going out. We're going to be in Vegas next week for a strategy meeting, and also reviewing where the international conference is going to be held this year, and make sure that some of the feedback we've gotten over the past few years, especially from a convention center standpoint, that we can address and do better. So I really encourage folks, if not happier, they want to give feedback, and it is feedback. I never look at things as complaints. There's always something in there that we can do better. So it's the same thing with the VRMA. I know every board member that I've talked to and is on there is looking for feedback because, hey, do more of this, do less of that. I really like where you're going because it is the premier vacation rental industry association, and we want to maintain that.
I know that you've done some really cool stuff this year. The reason I know that is because my niece, I think, is on the education committee or something with that. She was asked to do something there, and they were asking me, should I do this? And my sister said, absolutely, you should do that. So I'm really excited to see, because they're getting new people. They're asking people, they're doing a lot of new things, and I'm very excited to see what this year brings with VRMA.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think, again, feedback is important, and we appreciate people that are willing to step up on the committees. I know there's some committees looking for some folks. If you really have a passion about helping make a difference, that's the best way to do it. Making complaints or giving feedback, if you want to put it that way. Sure, that's one way, but that's why I got involved, because I was like, hey, from an operations standpoint, I really think we're missing the boat on stuff. So I got involved with VRHP and just continued my involvement because I believe it's really important and we want our members to get the most out of it that they can.
So Dave, I know you and I talked a little bit before we started this. If people have questions about operations, can they contact you and get advice on anything or suggestions for things?
Yeah, I'm always willing to help. Yeah, of course, we have our own business to run here, but I'm always willing to help. So one of the things that Tim and I have discussed is looking at helping others and doing some consulting. There really isn't a strong operations consulting group out there. If there is, I apologize. I'm just not aware of it. And this is based on after doing the VRMA sessions, having 10, 15, 20 people deep like, hey, can I call you? Hey, can I contact you? And I'm not saying that there's anything unique or special, but we like helping because if we can help everyone get a little stronger and they learn what's going on and they're able to have great guests and owners and identify those processes, we want to do that. That's where Blue is in its life cycle, is we want to give back. So we are looking at offering some consulting services if it's the right fit and the right need. We're very aware of what our strengths are and what we're not so good on. People are always willing to reach out, and we're here to help.
Well, how would they reach you?
Email is the easiest. It's Dave, D-A-V-E, at outerbanksblue.com. You can also call our office, which is 252-255-1220. I will tell you, because we have a location in the Outer Banks, we also have an operation in Virginia Beach, Sandbridge, as well as a laundry facility in Elizabeth City. I tend to be on the go quite a bit, but email is going to be the best bet to reach out to me, and we'd love to help anyone out there.
Well, I love that. And I have to tell you, I can't think of anyone that I would trust more with operations than Tim Cafferty and your team, Dave. And that's the truth. You guys you're always willing to help other people, and you've been very good to people that have reached out to you in the past, that I know. So thank you for being with me and talking about operations. And I hope that people will reach out if they have questions and for advice.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the conversation and look forward to seeing this.
I can't wait either. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks. Have a great day.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Streamline. To find out more about how Streamline can help grow your vacation rental business, visit streamlinevrs.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.